Revelation chapter 2, verse 12 through 13. To the angel of the church in Pergamum write, these are the words of him who has the sharp, double-edged sword. Remember, that was coming out of his mouth, okay? I know where you live, where Satan has his throne. Yet you remain true to my name. You did not renounce your faith in me, not even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was put to death in your city where Satan lives. He lives there, and he's got his throne there. Jesus is saying here in this verse. Remember, you can always click here to go back to the table of contents, and we're going to go through our thing here. Now, the city of Pergamum. You can look at this dude here again. He just does such a nice job, and he's just such a guy. You can pronounce it by looking at here. But here's Ephesus. Pergamum is up just north of Ephesus a little bit. I had an amazing library, second only to that of in Alexandria. 20,000 volumes in this library. You want to read more about it, you can click that link right there. Now, the capital, it was the capital of the Roman province of Asia. So this was a capital city. The religion in this place was Zeus was there, Athena was there, Asphilios, if you can pronounce that, I can't. Greek god of medicine, the symbol of a serpent, they were there. Now remember, it said that this is where Satan sits or has his throne. He had a seat there. He dwelt there. Throne. No, a little voice to text happening there. It's the same word for throne as in all of these places in Revelation. And it was a center for idolatry and a center for persecution for these early Christians. Now, there was a two-edged sword. Now, remember, we know from earlier that the two-edged sword was coming out of his mouth. And this is to imply that Jesus, he is the winner over his enemies, human enemies, demonic enemies, even people in his own church that are not faithful. It implies that he's going to be the victor over all of these things. Jesus says in Luke 12:51 that Jesus did not come to bring peace, no, but division, okay? And even to separate families. There's going to be times when Jesus, hey, I'm more important than your family. I'm more important than your community. I am more important than any of those things, Jesus says. Now, judgment must begin in the house of God. We even know that because it says so in Peter. For the time for judgment to begin with God's household first, and it begins with us. What will the outcome be for those who do not obey the gospel? And so judgment is coming to God's house first, but it's going to be much worse for those who don't know Christ. Now, we can trust him because he's a faithful judge. He is a judge where all we have to do is keep on saying yes, and he forgives us, he takes us back, he makes us strong. Jesus is the faithful judge that we can completely trust. He's not coming to judge to destroy. We can find that in Proverbs 3:11. But the sinner's road will be harder, like we saw in 1 Peter. And if it is hard for the righteous to be saved, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? And of course 4:18, it's the same verse, and you can click there to look at some other stuff if you want to on that verse. And the purpose, of course, of Jesus' judgment on his church is not to just punish. God's never just about punishment. He's always about bringing us closer to himself. And so that's why he is, in fact, the righteous judge. Now, in verse 13, he says, but you remain true. Okay, their works continued. Okay, even though they had this happening, and the persecution grew, and in here that meant death. But they refused. They kept their faith. They refused to water down the gospel. They refused. Even Antipas was already slain because he refused to shrink back from the gospel that Jesus had called them out to. And so that's Pergamos commentary. And chapter 2, verse 12. May the Lord richly bless you, and thank you so much for checking this out.